case.
Sorry, mine. Okay, mine didn't say on air, but now it does. I'm sorry.
Okay. So just to summarize the case, as you guys all have read, Stephen is in the direction of having someone else fill the position for, I forgot everyone's name just now.
I think it's Peter,
right?
Thompson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peter. He didn't give a notice, and now he has to find a replacement. They're not 100% on the junior analyst, Rena, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or if they should hire any of the other 4 candidates. And that's pretty much the gist of it. Is there anything else that any of you guys want to add for the summary of the case?
That was pretty much it in a nutshell. It just depends on like going into each candidate now.
Okay. So it says, discuss the pros and cons in great depth of all the candidates. Who would you hire and why? So let's start with David Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to start first with David Hughes?
David's kind of like a rock star. Everybody knows him on Wall Street. It was pretty obvious when he walked the restaurant that he knew what he wanted. He didn't even have to say anything they think he wanted. So he already had a reputation. They were with his mind, how much he knew. It was like a computer they would do. He had a great list of contacts as far as people that he could work with. So the only downside that people made any mention to was they felt he was too old, and that maybe he was at the end of his career where he wasn't held at the same as the other competitors because of age.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple other things to add on David.
Okay.
So when we read about him, it doesn't say what page number this is on, but it says that when Stephen asked him about compensation, that David wasn't really specific, but that he sensed that he wanted a guaranteed contract for his compensation for at least 2 years that would be guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen thought that this would be kind of tricky working in the semiconductor business because it's cyclical. And then also the other thing that that came into my mind is that he was more of like a stock picker, and so more focused on the individual stocks than he was on the semiconductor sector, which is what they were really looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there any other information that you guys wanted to share for David Hughes? For the
Well, he also was
go
second
ahead.
place on the II. On the II. So he's done very well.
Mm-hmm. So besides his age, was there anything else that was negative for him?
He wasn't real strong. Kathleen pointed out he wasn't real strong. The fact that he was associated with semiconductors,
Okay.
the stock itself, I think that was something that was.
But I think he also said that he would look forward to being able to pursue other opportunities, even though he may not have had the exact. But I think didn't it say that he did do the semiconductor industry? He was in the he said he was in the semiconductor industry.
I think I remember that, but I have to pull it up.
On page 12, at the very end. And on that list, if he wasn't in the semi.
Yeah, it says Stephen then asked David about a rumor he had heard. Apparently, David had been on vacation with his kids, and there had been a breaking news story about the semiconductor industry, but David had refused to cut his vacation short. Instead, he had let his junior analysts handle the matter, causing some clients to become very unhappy that he was unavailable. So that's another negative about.
Well, he said it wasn't quite true.
Yeah.
On page 4, it says that he was, let's see, one of 2 newly ranked semiconductor analysts. He was. relationship and maintaining close relationship with the students.
Right.
So my conductor.
So
Okay,
he
cool.
had the expertise in that area, I felt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where is it saying that he has the expertise in it? I'm sorry, I'm just not seeing that.
Well, he's second ranked on the II, and he couldn't get on there unless he had the expertise in that area because it's specifically for the semiconductor industry.
Institutional investors, not just for semiconductor industries. That's just a technology. That's just a publication that's done by
Like
the
the
industry.
investors, yeah.
Yeah, it can be for anything. So I think he was ranked second for his stock picks.
But if you look at it, it says analyst ranking in the semiconductor industry movement. Sorry, my husband's phone was ringing.
That's all right. So are you looking at the part that says interview with David Hughes, or are you looking somewhere else?
I'm looking on Exhibit 2.
All right, let me go to Exhibit 2.
Is
And
it
the-
more time?
And because they say it's an analyst ranking in the semiconductor industry, and that's what this was, that was the rank. What was the ranking for?
Oh, that's what he
I see
was
that.
ranked for, was semiconductor. Okay, I didn't get that.
So actually, I
Something
felt
that
he
I
was-
noticed. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Something
else?
that I liked about David in his interview was that that he was able and willing to teach the people that he would be working over a lot of his skills, which is something very important in the team-oriented environment that this company is. So I really like that he was able to kind of portray himself as a team player and just be able to show other people what he knew and his expertise was. So I really like that about him. So moving on to the next candidate, I just have my notes all over the place. I have Gerald Baum.
Oh, yeah.
What did you guys think about Gerald?
I didn't really like him.
Me neither.
Yeah. It was kind of hard because it seemed like he was very, very good at what he did. And he really did provide serious results that clients loved. But just kind of thinking about the company culture at, what is it, RSH? Like, it's so important that they put such an emphasis on teamwork. And like, I think at one point he says it's sort of like a family environment, like a family-based kind of culture. And so having someone, and like his lack of remorse for his behavior was kind of unnerving. Like, he talked about how he fired his his junior analyst in the middle of a client presentation. That was a huge red flag to me. I was like, I wouldn't go any further. I don't know if that's like someone
I
you
think
want
he
on
was
your
someone
team.
that was really concerned with money too, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah.
was-
Yeah.
Something with me, right, though, was 15 minutes late for his first interview.
Right. He
Didn't even care,
wasn't
yeah.
apologetic. Yeah.
And then on his second interview, they had asked if they wanted to bring their assistants and their junior
Mhm.
assistants.
Analysts.
And none of his would come.
Yeah. That was
Another
like,
red flag there.
guys. Yeah, that.
Also in his interview, like he seemed to complain a lot about everything. And it just like kind of shows a little bit of his personality, I guess, which
Yeah.
might have been the reason as to why he jumped around so much in different jobs, because he just had a negative attitude and just saw a lot of negative things going on. And it also said that he came from a competitive environment from his previous job. So he would probably, going forward, would be pretty competitive, and that just doesn't seem like the company culture that they're having right now. Anything else about Gerald? I mean, yeah, his name's Gerald.
I think that says a lot about him.
It's hard not to only focus on the negatives about him, but it seemed like when he went around the firm that they were all really impressed with. Seemed like he really was kind of like a rising star, which made it unfortunate because he's not, like, personality wise doesn't seem to be a good fit.
Yeah, I feel like his
background.
strengths were really positive. Being cut off, I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said he had a real strong background from the way he was raised. Both parents were very successful, and so he was, he had that was really strong way, and I think his personality, the way he comes across, is what his downside. He's as far as his abilities, but if you can't work with, well, then that makes you pretty.
Was he the one that said that he wanted to bring his own junior people? And Stephen said that, well, we have a lot of seasoned junior people here. I'd like you to choose from the ones that we have.
I think that's the same one, yes.
Yeah. And he was looking to be highly compensated too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He says that Stephen was taken a bit aback when he was talking about compensation. He's talking about stock option
He
plan.
jumped into it almost immediately.
Yeah. And I think Stephen mentioned that he didn't want somebody that was just focused on money. So guaranteed bonuses, to me, I think, was like a red flag, because usually in that type of work, your bonuses are based on your performance. So for him wanting to be guaranteed a bonus, almost like he wanted to be guaranteed he would get money whether he did well or not.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now.
Hello? Okay,
Hello?
because I didn't hear anything Kathleen was saying back. I think it was Gerald. During his interview, I felt like he was more like, what am I going to get out of this company more than what I can provide for the company. He was just trying to get as much as he could get. Reminded me of Sonia Mita's interview.
Oh, yeah.
I personally liked Sonia. I liked the thing about her. She was kind of I picked over. If I was to recommend that they hire somebody, she's the one I actually on a limb. She comes from really small as far as her background. They were the comment that was interesting. All of the natives that kind of the same as of her knowledge, and so that's something that I like. She had potential, even though she was really not anxious to travel and wanted to work from home. And there was things like that. I felt like she probably really wanted to look.
One of the things that he said about the interview with Sonia that concerned him was that, he recognized that she was doing a lot by herself with few resources, but it goes on to say that she had little experience at a large firm where the pace is 10 times faster than what she was used to. So that was a little bit concerning to him, if she was going to be able to handle that.
I really liked her interview, though, because I think she took the longest, if I'm not mistaken, to talk about compensation. And she would just really ask a lot of thorough questions, and you can tell she was really interested to know what kind of company it was and to see kind of if it'd be a good fit for her. But I liked I don't know. I liked her as well too. Like I think she was my favorite, but mostly because it seemed like she was like a really hard worker, and she was doing all of that work by herself almost, and that was kind of impressive. And so I can see how her not being able to travel or not wanting to travel as much could be a bit of a hindrance, but it seemed like she was wanting to do the job to the best of her ability, despite any personal drawbacks.
I liked about her, she was the first one to ask the question about the culture or the environment of the office. Another important thing to her, in addition to the other things that they were reviewing. So I think Stephen was impressed that she asked that first before he could even get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Just
I
wanted to
felt
make
like
sure
she
it
was.
wasn't a bad environment.
Yeah, I felt like she was very prepared for her interview. Like Katie was saying, she asked the right questions. She was very thorough. She had definitely done her homework prior to the interview, and she really was good with like her transferable skills as to what she had learned. Even though she was in a smaller company, she really brought those skills into how they would manage in a bigger company. And even though she came from a smaller company, like someone was saying, in a smaller company, you have so many hats that you wear and you do so many things at once. And for her to be able to do that on her own or with very little help says a lot about her work ethic and still manage to do really well. So I think if she were to be in this company and have an assistant and a junior analyst, I think it would be really great because she would be able to manage that a lot better, I feel like.
One of the other things that Stephen points out from his interview with Sonia is that he questions whether or not she can handle the globalization of the semiconductor industry if she doesn't want to travel much. So I mean, he's thinking that the position is going to entail her having to travel, and how will she be able to do that? Because he says that on average, Peter used to travel 1 day a week.
One of the interesting things, though, Colleen, is I was interested. He invited her in early that second round so that she go ahead and communicate with, was it one of the offices over in Tokyo, I think it was, that, and I thought that was cool that he went ahead and went out of his way to allow her to go ahead and engage with the company over there and with them. I think he was kind of trying to see how she was going to be able to do this. She was going to have brains to complete that.
Stephen was fascinated by her too. I think that he's like anxious to interview her and just to see what she was all about.
For her first interview, didn't she ask at the end if she would be able to work from home and something like that? Did Stephen ever answer her question directly during that interview?
Sort of, he did. Kind of.
Okay.
He's saying that.
She said, top flex in this position, would I be able to work from home at times and be in charge of arranging home travel schedule? And then he turned around and got the way they printed because you could see her thinking out. Wow, she's really focused on organizational. I can't have many people I've interviewed who've asked these questions and not one about competition yet.
Okay.
He ever came back with their specific.
Well, he does actually a little farther down, if I can find it. But he kind of explains. Where am I? I'm trying to scroll down. Excuse me. But I remember that he did. Just it took him a little bit because he kind of was explaining things.
It says.
But he talked about.
He could develop a plan to work from home at times, and all Alan analysts be in charge of travel schedules.
Okay. I was just wondering about that. Anything else for Sonia?
I thought it was interesting that she asked about female analysts. She kind of wanted, what was it exactly that she said that she wanted to know how they perform and if they're successful. And so it kind of made me wonder, like, I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to ask. See, like, oh, are they successful there? Like, it's almost like she's wondering, like, will I be affected? Will there be any sort of bias? And so I kind of was trying to figure out why, like, what made her bring that up. And so, because I just thought that was kind of an interesting point. And even Steven was kind of like, well, I've never really thought of that. Like, I've never really broken it down by gender before, but like, they seem like they're just like the men, very driven. So I just was kind of curious what made her ask that question.
She was trying to get a feel of what this atmosphere was like. What, just seeing from his reaction was probably trying to see if he was going to react and see if he was going to himself a little bit. Interesting there. He would say, well, who are you and who are, can't remember what 20s.
The one thing that just keeps sticking in my mind when I think about Sonia, even though he seems like he really likes her, is the conversation he had with, is it Rena, the one that's doing the position now after Stephen left? Because he goes into her and says that if he can't find a more senior person to take her position, that he's going to give her the job. Yeah. And his comment about how Sonia works for a small boutique firm and he doesn't know if she'd be able to handle the pace. He already knows that he has somebody in his own firm that can handle the pace because she's doing it right now. So when I think about his interview with Sonia, I have in the back of my mind the person that he has at the company that's already doing it, and why he would take somebody from a small boutique firm that doesn't have the exposure that the person that's already working there does, because she's not more seasoned than she is. So that's the one thing that just keeps coming up in my mind about her.
Well, the interesting thing about it is Rena, right? That's what.
Right.
So it's not like she's got a background herself, and yes, she's stepping up and trying to get out and find somebody. And
I can't really hear what you're saying, Gerald. Every other word is breaking up.
Yeah, it's been breaking up for a while.
So what I'm trying to say is that in my presentation, as far as I wrote up, I said she needed to be considered. Rena, she should be able to have the opportunity to throw her name there as well. Type of opportunity to interview the rest of those that wasn't. She only had 3 years experience though, as she stepped into that light to help him out.
Okay, I think I get what you're saying. I think because it was cutting out. I'm gonna see if I got this right. It sounds like you were saying that although Rena does have that experience being there in the big firm and everything, the thing is, it mentioned she'd only been there for 3 years, and I guess we don't really know. I guess we don't really know what experience she had before that. Or no, actually, I think it talked about it a little bit. That didn't she work in California? I think for a time. And then
that was
before
Sonia.
she came. Maybe it was both, because I thought Rena was as well, if I'm not mistaken. I could double check, but I thought that she worked in California as well before she finally came to New York. And so, but yeah, here it is. Yeah, she started at Win 412, a top technology firm in California. The environment at Win 412 was extremely relaxed. Although the firm was very successful, its top employees came and went as they pleased. Rena, something of an introvert, had a difficult time. So she attended a conference in New York, and that's when she decided to move there to earn her MBA. And so, yeah. So yeah, I guess she had some experience before, but then she went and got her MBA, and that's when it sounds like she started working there. And so I don't necessarily know if she was an analyst before, or if she just worked at this technology firm. And so I don't really know if that means that she had experience previously, like to the extent that Sonia did.
But she got some of her experience through Peter. She was the junior analyst to Peter, so he was mentoring her. And
That's true.
I liked when Peter, said I need to talk to Rena to let her know where we stand. And actually, Peter did promise her. He said, I promise that if I didn't find someone senior than you, I would think it work. I'll give you the permanent position.
Yeah.
Said that.
Yeah, that's what I kept remembering.
And I appreciate all your hard work and the things that you do. And if I do fill the position with one of these 4 candidates, you still get your own group to cover. So I don't know what that means, that she gets her own group, perhaps a segment software. So does that mean she'll be a senior analyst then? Like, she's actually performing a senior analyst position right now.
She got promoted to that position.
So
Yeah,
so what does that mean, that like if he would hire someone else, she would still be considered a senior analyst at this point then?
Right, maybe not in the semiconductor industry, but maybe another group of stocks that she would analyze. I wasn't really clear on what he meant by that either.
Yeah.
And the other thing I thought, I really know that there is another position. Someone may be fulfilling that. It may be them or it may be somebody else. And if that person doesn't want that position and says, okay, no, I'm not going to take this position, and you sort of know that the other person coming in is welcomed, But Rena said that she loved this field and that she would not want to give it up. So her desire was to stay there. I don't know. I sort of feel like Kathleen. I keep thinking about her in the background. That's the on take that she's taking, and she's actually doing a good job, Stephen said.
Yeah.
But she doesn't fit the criteria for the executive management that they want. They want someone who is a star.
Right, but they can train. They can put her into some kind of training to help her become a star, because it said she was an introvert, so she obviously needs some type of training.
A little more. But if you look at that, if you look at the ranking from an Exhibit 2, there is only 2 people that fit that for the executive. If Stephen wants to please the executive management, and that's why he's doing this, fit it, was Peter and David Hughes, because Seth is just a runner-up. And Sonia and Gerald are 18 and 11. They're not even up to the first 3 rankings.
Yeah, but I think what they said about David was that when they were talking about him is that he was the one who was older, and they thought that Stephen's take on him, I think he had mentioned something about him being past his prime and that he wouldn't be able to keep up with the pace, something like that.
Yeah.
You guys remember him making a comment like that? So even though he had reached that status, he's going to come work for us, and he's already past his prime, like he already reached it. So they're looking for an up-and-comer, not one that's been there and is going to start declining type of
Especially
thing.
because if you think, how long will it be until David retires?
Right.
What if they have to go through this whole process in
Again.
like 5 years or less or so? Because they make it sound like he's really
They
old.
said he was,
So,
but he wasn't, yeah. Because they said he was 45, 50. So
Right,
he
but
still had a good 10 years.
Well, they said in that industry,
say that?
you're usually burnt out by that age. If you've
oh
been
yeah,
in,
that's what I thought it said. That you're usually
Yeah.
burned out by then. I don't think it ever said his age. They just kept saying he looks old. I'm like, okay,
In his
awesome.
his profile,
and that's another.
they have the profile feedback.
And that's another positive for the girl that's already doing it. You know, she's not already burnt out. She's enthusiastic. She loves it. So she's like an up and comer. She's not somebody that's already reached her peak. It's somebody that they can help to develop.
Something that I thought was kind of curious is that Stephen keeps getting all these like emails or messages about how they want, like, all these people in the company are trying to convince him, like, please find someone, don't hire Rena. And so I was trying to figure out why everyone was so opposed to Rena having the position. Like, because they're all having to work with her, or were they just thinking, oh, she can't do this job? Or was there something about the way she was doing it that she wasn't as experienced that they were happy with it?
They mentioned she wasn't good at presenting because she was an introvert. Like, her skills were kind of rough around the edges. But I think that's all stuff that they can work with. And you see,
there's like several people who said that.
You see
I was like, geez, Rena.
what you get when you get somebody that's got all those other skills, right? You're getting their other baggage. They want a guaranteed compensation package. They want, you know, this, they want that. They complain about the copy breaking down. So, I mean, you've got both ends of the spectrum. You know, you've got somebody that has the name and they're well known out there and they're polished, but they're very demanding and kind of nitpicky. Whereas you got somebody on the other end of the spectrum who's not demanding or nitpicky, but she's not polished on her contacts or her presentation. But she's willing to work hard and get the job done.
Thanks, guys. Going along with that is that I think you're never going to find the perfect candidate or the perfect person. But I think, like Kathleen was saying, there's certain things that you can train for. And Rena and Sonia, I think, had those kind of things that they could be trained and become those all-stars or whatever they're called. But then there's people like Gerald that you can't really, I mean, I guess you can help them develop these attributes of like being a team player and things like that. But those are kind of more set in with like personality-wise. And it's kind of hard to work on personality when you're in a job setting. So that's kind of what worries me about Gerald and why I'm more for like either Rena or Sonia. The last person that we have is Seth Porkham,
yeah.
From Jefferson Brothers.
He seemed to be promising. I thought out of the 4 candidates, I liked Sonia best, but I think Seth was my second favorite, just because he had that enthusiasm, as well as he was starting to really show. I think it said that he was like practically like a shoo-in, I guess, to get ranked in the II the following year. And so he was it sounded like he was on his way to like stardom, I guess, in this field. And so he sounded rather promising just because of his, because he's so enthusiastic and he already had these skills to show for.
His enthusiasm was something that they said was contagious. So he impressed everybody because he was so excited to be there. And I think he was just, he was excited for the fact that here he was actually in the facility. He made it to the second round. People concerned, they were concerned about was he had been at this location for years, and now suddenly he's rushing to make a switch, and that's something that was open to everybody. All of a sudden, and obviously he came back and said, like, this is the platform that's going to need to be able to make it to the next phase of my career. So he was looked at as a stepping stone. He had felt like he had done everything he could where he was, and he just needed to get to that next level. So I thought that was kind of interesting that was some feedback that came back on him.
One of the things that he also says when Stephen asks him why he's interested in the position is he says that management was unwilling to see him as a rising star that he is, and that he had to share his junior analyst with somebody else, and his assistant supports 3 other people. So it seems like he kind of wants his own staff to be totally dedicated to him, and I'm not sure if that's how the company culture is. at RHS, because it kind of seems like they're a team environment. Everybody helps everybody out. What, did you guys pick up on that at all?
I noticed that he seemed to be frustrated with the lack of help.
Yeah. He also says that he doesn't feel that his compensation that he's receiving reflects his the gains that he's made in the company or his reputation for him to remain a star. So he thinks that his compensation that he's receiving isn't accurately reflecting where he is. That's one of the reasons why he wants to leave.
I feel like we're kind of seeing a pattern with the compensation. Like with, it seems like all the male candidates are all focused, like, that's, if it's not their main focus, it's definitely a top priority is the compensation, the payout and everything. Whereas with the women, it seems like they're much more focused on actually having like a successful job and like being in a certain field. So I'm noticing that's kind of interesting. That's not just, oh, here and there. It's like, no, like all the men are focused on the compensation, but the women are focused on the actual, like doing a good job and, or at least like getting up to that field. Sort of like more like success. They're focused on success. The others are focused on the recognition and the compensation.
Yeah. And that was the reason why Peter left, right? For the money?
Yeah.
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 You know, it's interesting. Sonia was surprised what the compensation was.
Right. She's like, whoa, I'm getting really underpaid here.
She's like, wow, is that much?
Yeah, she's like, oh, I'm seriously underpaid. Yeah. She's kind of sad. It's like, oh, Sonia.
So it is a male-dominated industry, in case you guys don't know.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that's what Sonia was getting at when she asked that question about the females in the office. I think that's what she was sort of getting at.
And that might be the reason why they're hesitant to let Rhea be the management there, and other people are against her getting that position, and that might be one of the reasons why. Because it's a male-dominated industry, they feel that there has to be a man in that position instead of a woman.
That's a good point, Kathleen.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And a lot of times it might be even a subconscious thought. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, like, a lot of times that's even just a subconscious thought. They're not actively thinking, oh, woman bad. Like, sometimes they just, like, kind of think, oh, but, like, I don't know, just subconsciously they think that and they don't realize. But I was just commenting that. But what were you saying, Barb?
Yeah, management's probably saying, will our clients leave us if we have a female analyst that isn't as powerful as one of the other male people that we have to choose from?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's definitely one of the factors.
Yeah.
Okay, so Katie, you said that you were going with Sonia.
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen, were you going with Rena?
That's who I'm inclined to go with.
Okay. Gerald?
Definitely Sonia. That's who I actually put down in my documentation that I submitted, was that I would pick her.
And what about you, Barb?
Well, I know you guys are going to sort of not feel the same as me, but I'm still going with the request of the senior management. The senior management wanted a star. That's what they requested from Stephen. So my thought was that if they did go with who is well known, even though he's older, he's well known, and he could be so when he decides to leave, then Rena can step up in his shoes and will have the experience and be able to grow further in the company and be able to perform as a star. So that was my thought.
Gotcha.
I hear what you're saying, Barb, on that. I just wanted to make one comment. So I did realize that they said they wanted an up-and-coming star, but when I hear that, I don't think of David, because he's already reached his peak and he's kind of plateauing. So I don't think of him as an up-and-coming star. I would think
The
of
second, he is the second rating right now. He is
he's
the
already
second
there,
rating.
so he's not up and coming. He's already there. They're looking for a somebody that's going to
Does
be
it,
a new
because he
thing
was
for
there.
themselves. Right. So I think of, in that category, I would think of Sonia maybe, but I just don't know if their concerns of her working in a firm of like theirs versus the small boutique that she's in. They're concerned that she's not going to be able to keep up with the pace. So that's the concern I have about her.
Okay, I just emailed you guys the recruitment of a star salary information. Did you guys have a chance to look at that? It talks about the salary where they're at now and what their salary would be at RSH. Given these numbers, does that change any of you guys' decisions to go with the person you guys went with?
Did you email that to our Google emails? Because I don't see it.
Yeah, the Gmail ones we use.
I didn't get it in my email yet.
I didn't get it.
Okay, I just sent it, so maybe it's taken. But either way, it's
Oh,
the,
I just got it. Hold on.
okay. So it looks like David is making 1.3, and at RSH he would be making 1.5. Gerald is making 0.9, and he will be making 1.2. Seth is making 0.7 and would be making 1 million. Sonia is making 0.4 and would be making 0.7. And Rena would stay the same at 0.3 million.
And so what does Rena make? What would Rena make? Did they say?
300,000. Right?
I couldn't hear. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Say it one more time.
0.3 million?
I think that's
300,000.
Okay, thank you.
Well, there's definitely a disparity in the pay from men to women.
For real?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't realize David was making that much. That's a lot of money. Okay.
Well, that's because of his ranking. That's where he is. He's
That's true.
second.
And he has all that experience. I don't think I was mentally prepared to hear a number that large. That's all.
And I think
Okay.
that's how all of them are based. They're all based according to their ranks, where they
Right, so
rank.
the question
Oh,
is
that makes sense.
management willing to pay for somebody that's already at that star status, or do they want to pay for somebody to get up to that status? What was your
Well,
impression
that's
on
kind
that?
of that's kind of what I was leaning towards. What was Peter making? Does it indicate at all what Peter was making? I mean, are they trying
No,
to
it doesn't.
compensate equal, or are they going to have to go into it deeper than what they want to, or are they going to be able
It
to get one
doesn't
of these
say
up and
what
coming
Peter
stars
made.
to be able to go?
It does. I don't think would like to do that. Upper management was very persistent about it, I felt. When he called him and said that's what his anticipation was. That's what he wanted.
He
wanted
specifically said he didn't want Rhea, and then Stephen goes and meets with her and says that he will give her the position if he doesn't find a more senior one. So what does that tell you about what Stephen thinks about upper management's desires? Right, it doesn't say that he does everything that upper management wants if he goes and meets with her and says, I'm going to give you the position if I can't find a seasoned person.
Well, he had to do something in the intro. I mean, he had to put someone in there, and he chose Rena.
Right, but he didn't have to tell her that he was going to give her the position if he couldn't find
Correct.
somebody. He could say, I
That's
appreciate
correct.
you doing the work until I find somebody, but he promises her the position if he can't find somebody.
Mhm.
I think he would kind of be left without a choice, though, if he
So
couldn't
knowing
find
those
anyone,
things,
because
does
someone would
that
have
change? Oh,
to have
sorry.
the job. Oh, no, I was just saying, I kind of feel like he kind of wouldn't have a choice. He'd have to leave the job at least with someone, and since she's already there and she's already been in that field.
Yeah.
And so it kind of makes sense that either way, it just makes sense that she would have to have the job. And so it's probably why he said that's kind of clarify, like, you're already here, but if I don't find anyone, obviously you'll have to keep it. And so.
All right, so what are we supposed to do now?
Yeah, what are we supposed to do with this? So,
Are we
what I was
supposed to
asking.
agree on the decision, or are we just supposed to talk about where we would go? Is she there? Are we supposed to come to an agreement on a decision, or are we just supposed to talk about how we would each do it?
I think we're losing everybody.
Trying to look up. Oh. Uh-oh, we lost Carla.
Or did Carla
Hold on.
disappear too?
I'm not I was just wondering that.
Yeah, I think we have some problems here with connections.
I hope she comes back.
Okay. I just pulled up the group discussion agenda, trying to see where we were. Okay. So I
Yeah,
feel
Carla
like
has.
okay. So we were supposed to review the salary information, and after kind of pondering the data, just we're supposed to ask ask each person to decide if they are going to change their mind about who they would hire and why. So we all kind of had people who we'd picked, and so I guess after reviewing the salary information, we're supposed to say if we changed our mind after seeing that information about the salary, or if it didn't affect our decision.
I personally feel like I would stay the same, just because she would be compensated at $700,000, which, you know, I don't know what Peter was getting. That's the unknown. And if it's going to save the company to bring somebody in at that level and be able to get them a fresh start and going, I think that would probably be a good thing to go with. So I'm staying put. I'm not moving.
Yeah, so after I review the salary, definitely David and Gerald are out.
Yeah.
Seth, who would be getting 1 million, but doesn't want to share staffs, which means that we would have to spend more money getting him additional staff that would just be his. I would tend to throw him out as well. So then I'm back down to Sonia and Rena. And even though I don't like the compensation that Rena is getting, because she's the lowest compensation and she's the one that's actually doing the job right now, I'm not so sure that Sonia would be the best fit for the firm. And we know that Rena is already in the firm and she's a good fit. Although Barb brings up a good point that there's several people in the company that make it point blank known that they don't think that she should have the position. So I don't know. I'm kind of stuck between Sonia and Rena. Is there anyone else out there that thinks that Rena should get it?
I'm a little confused by Rena's. It says her current salary and then salary at RSH. Are they saying that with her taking over the, if she, sorry, I'm getting a little tongue-tied. So obviously she was promoted so that she could take over this position until they fill it. And so her salary doesn't change since it's kind of like a temporary promotion. I'm trying to figure out if this is like her current temporary salary or like her current salary at her temporary position, or if this is like the salary she would have if she did end up getting
It seems
the
like
job.
she's already at 300,000, and that's where she would stay if she got that new position as well.
Which really is an
Which, yeah.
injustice to her.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at it,
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to compensate her one bit. She's staying right there at the same where she was. I thought that was kind of odd.
Which is ridiculous. Yeah. Like they pay extra to the people they're bringing in, where it's always going to be more expensive to hire,
Right.
like get a new hire than to have just promote someone already there. And so I feel like that's odd that they wouldn't even increase her salary. And so that's why I was trying to figure out if that's
And that's a good point
like
too, because
saying
then
she just wouldn't get a raise.
that makes me say, well, how valuable of a candidate is she to them? They're not even willing to give her more than 300,000, and Sonia, they're willing to give her 700,000, twice as much as what she's making. So I think, yes, I would change my mind after looking at the salary. I'd probably go with Sonia.
At least still benefit her kind of thing.
Yeah, because they're placing more value on her.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody would go with Seth?
What was that?
No one would be interested in Seth?
I'm not interested
Who's
in
our rising star? No.
No.
No. He's nice, but compared to the other options that we have, not for now kind of a thing is what I feel. My devices are dying.
So where did you find, Katie, where did you find that information about what we were supposed to talk? How did you get
Let me
that?
see if I can find it again. Oh, it was in lesson 6. I scrolled down a little bit and said case study activity. And it said, if you're the group leader, read this agenda. And there's a link to this other assignment page. And so I do a bit
Mine
of
always
searching, but
comes
it's
up
in case.
blank when I do that. It doesn't give it to you. I had,
Oh.
when I did it last week, I had to
It's odd.
go to the, yeah. So I wonder
That's
how you
weird.
could,
Yeah, because I just went to the case study activity instructions and it just
Cool.
said, oh, for the group leader. And I was like, okay. And so I just opened it and it opened right up for me. And so
that's cool.
I was trying, but it looks like we were only about halfway through.
I'm going to call Carla so she can join us because her internet's down.
Yeah. Yeah, she's been trying to figure that out. Yeah, she's saying it won't connect her.
Hello. I'm going to put you on speakerphone so you can communicate so you're at least with us on the meeting, okay?
Okay, it looks like I'm connecting, but hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, I think.
Yeah, you're there.
Oh, yeah, so she was there.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay, she's back.
Okay, sorry guys.
It's okay.
Where did you guys leave off?
Well, I pulled up the instructions and we were just kind of discussing to see if seeing the salaries changed our mind, and it kind of
Okay.
sounded like we were saying that it did, that we were all kind of thinking Sonia was the best option after seeing that.
Okay. Okay. So I guess that answers the next question about should Steven give Rena a permanent offer or hire someone outside the company? You guys are still going with Sonia?
Yeah.
Okay. And should Steven have let Peter go?
You know, that was interesting. That's an interesting question because when I went and researched about the fact that when you have a star leave, if he would have made a compensation and tried to give him more money and that word would have got out, it would have been bad towards the rest of those that worked there at the firm. And so it was probably a wise move on his part not to try to negotiate with him and to let him go because of the fact that, number one, Peter would have felt that he was holding out on him if he was going to be willing to pay him more. And number two, if he did make him an offer and he accepted it, and then the rest of the firm was going to be concerned about the fact that they were not getting compensated where they needed to be. So those are the two things that I was able to pull up in my research.
Gerald, what did you think about the fact that Peter just abruptly gave his notice. So when somebody does that, is it normal for management to say, "Oh, please don't leave. I'll pay you more"? I mean, that wouldn't be the typical response that I would think
No.
would come from a company.
No, I was quite shocked at the fact that he didn't even give him the 2-week notice, which is typical. He just got up and left. And so really, but the thing that was interesting is I think it was had warned Stephen early on that he had heard rumor that Peter was looking to go somewhere else.
Right.
And so that was one of the things that stood out to me, is that Peter never did follow through at that point. He could have brought him in and said, "Hey, what's going on?" You know, kind of had a visit, get a feel of what was going on, but he never did follow through. And so he had that abruptness where he just left and left him sitting. And so then he had to scramble around and get this other gal, Rena, to offer her a senior position and give her an opportunity to start taking over, and promising her that she was going to get that new job. So to me, I felt like Stephen handled it right. You know, even though he left, he didn't try to go pursue him and beg him back. He just let him go and decided to follow through with other options. So.
But you think that Stephen should have done something ahead of time when he heard the rumors that he might be looking to leave?
Yes, I think he should have at least entertained the idea to bring him into his office and sit down and visit with him and kind of get a feel of where he was and why.
Right.
You know, I think that was crucial.
Worst case scenario, he would have had a heads up that he was going to be going, and he could have prepared better.
Yes.
And then it says, should Stephen have talked with the recruiter to ask about Seth?
Is Seth the one that he got the phone call about from somebody else?
From Amy.
Yeah.
From Amy.
Amy, I think, was another headhunter that called in that had caught wind of the fact that they were losing them. So I think Amy was serving as that purpose too.
Right, but didn't Stephen say, I wonder why the head, I forget what the headhunter's name was, but he goes, I wonder why he never mentioned him if
Correct.
if he was an up and coming.
Yeah.
So he never did contact him to find out why he never mentioned him.
No.
So he probably should have, to find out what his take was on him.
Does the performance at one firm guarantee high performance at another firm?
No.
I wouldn't say it guarantees it, but I say it probably is a good indicator. But you have to take in things like the company culture, for example. Like, for example, at the place that Gerald worked, it was like super competitive and everything. And it was not that way at all at RSH, because they were very much based on teamwork. And so you don't know if like someone might succeed more in sort of a more competitive kind of environment, but teamwork could be something that's really hard for them, where, like, for example, Gerald does not play well with others, and so teamwork probably would have really been a struggle for him. He probably wouldn't have performed as well there.
Yeah, I think we saw from last week's case study how teamwork can impact the performance, right? So some people just can't work together. So if you get somebody that comes in new to the firm and nobody gets along with them, and he's over there firing people left and right because of something they did wrong in a presentation, you'll get the whole company in an uproar.
Yeah.
And then sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to have to get going. I need to get over and meet my daughter because I'm watching my grandson this evening. So,
Thanks, Barb.
okay, we'll see ya.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, just to wrap things up, let's briefly discuss the types of human capital that were on that sheet that he
Oh, yeah.
gave us. Okay. So can someone give a summary of the general human capital?
Let me see if I can get there real quick.
It encompasses management skills to gather, cultivate, and deploy financial, technical, and human resources. Includes leadership and decision-making capabilities as well as functional expertise. While this type of human capital is highly profitable, executives must develop new general management human capital, such as interacting with investors and Wall Street as well as with boards. When they become CEOs, or more generally, when they take on a new job with expanded capabilities, strategic human capital is enterprise gained from experience in situations that require specific strategic skills, such as cutting costs, driving growth, or maneuvering in cyclical markets. This type of human capital is highly profitable to firms facing similar strategic challenges. Experience in a growth environment, for instance, tends to translate well to other such environments. So,
general. Strategic human capital, the second one, it says, is expertise gained from experience in situations that require specific strategic skills, such as cutting costs, driving growth, or maneuvering in cyclical markets. This type of human capital is highly portable to firms facing similar strategic challenges. Experience in a growth environment, for instance, tends to translate well to other such environments. Awesome. And Kathleen, can you read industry?
I don't
Do you
have
have
that
it?
paper right. I don't have it in
I
front of
have
me
it.
right now.
I have it.
Okay, Katie, can you read it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Industry human capital. It says, is the technical, regulatory, customer, or supplier knowledge unique to an industry? Industry-specific knowledge acquired in a company that operates under one type of regulations. Those of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, for example, or the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, is not useful in an industry that operates under different rules. Similarly, the technical know-how that comes from medical, engineering, or scientific training in some industries probably won't be as useful in less technical industries, just as experience selling to large business customers is not as useful in a retail industry setting.
Gerald, can you read relationship human capital?
relationship human capital is that portion of a manager's effectiveness stemming from established relationships with other team members or colleagues. Moving with other team members or colleagues can help general managers achieve a high level of performance at a new firm. Solo movers need to create a new network of effective relationships and social capital in their new firms, which they can only do over time.
So that sounds like Sonia would be in, if she were to get hired, it would have to be like forming those relationships and those connections from the start. And then the last one says company-specific human capital includes knowledge about routines and procedures, corporate culture, and informal structures and systems and processes that are unique to a company. This type of human capital is at least portable of the least portable of the five. But CEOs, unlike the rank and file, are uniquely positioned to capitalize on this knowledge by implementing familiar systems and processes in their new firms. So I just had a question about this. Like, what exactly does it mean by portable? Like transferable skills, or?
Yeah.
It sounds like it, yeah.
So
Because if somebody's
rarely,
an expert on a company, one specific company, that won't do them a lot of good in a different company if they switch jobs. It's kind of what I understood.
Mm-hmm.
and that's why you've got the two arrows. You've got your often portable and your rarely portable. So, if they are leaning down towards this bottom side, then that kind of minimizes their abilities. Where their strengths are, it's going to be up here towards the top, where the strategic human capital and the general human capital, your industry, are just kind of in between from what I'm getting from that.
Mm-hmm. Discuss itself human capital. Okay. Did you guys have any other additional comments about the case study or about what we just read about human capital?
No.
No, I was just kind of having issues trying to get started with the write-up, but I don't know if that necessarily has to do with this discussion, though. I always have trouble getting those started, to be honest. I never know where to start.
I always write the intro and the conclusion, and then I hope like crazy I can get some points that I can put in between.
I know. I've gotten really good at doing intros, but yeah, I was trying to like write stuff down, but it was kind of different this time because it had to do with hiring people, and so I wasn't sure what to even highlight as problems. And so I don't know. I'll see how this goes. I have another one to do too, so.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I think what helps me is like trying to figure out what they're doing right, because every
Okay.
company has its pros. And then once I think about that, it's like, okay, so what can they improve on? And then I think about like the company,
Okay.
since it's more of hiring, I'm not really going to focus on the hiring aspect. It's just more like of the company or like the way they're going about the hiring process.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going to do. But I haven't done it yet either.
Yeah, I know. I've been just kind of studying it all day, and so we'll see how it goes. But I might borrow that idea if that's okay. Because I just always look at him like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When they
So-
say cite your sources, does that mean like the case study?
I always just kind of put it in parentheses whenever I do quote it. I just put, like, for example, recruitment of a star case study.
Okay, that's it?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
But he commented on my one that I submitted last week. I actually got marked down a grade point on it because the prior week he left a comment to use a reference page, and I didn't go in and look at that comment. And so I submitted last week, and I didn't use a reference page, and I ended up getting a B- on it because I didn't use a reference page. So I thought that was strange because on the sample that they used, they didn't show a reference page. They just showed the references in the text in parentheses. So
yeah, I think that's where I got that idea from.
The reference page on yours?
No, I make sure that I put the whole article and who wrote it and everything in parentheses after where I quote.
Oh, okay.
I then have a reference page. So.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you for attending this meeting and for your great comments. I really appreciate it. It makes this so much easier.
Thank you.
I guess we can just take off now. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
I'll send you the link.
Sounds good.